All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming to training. I really appreciate it. We're going to go over some fun topics today, and hopefully you all are going to be able to take this training exercise and actually be able to apply it later on in some events that you might deem necessary. I'm pretty excited to go over this exercise, and at the end of this, we're going to apply everything we've learned from this training to actual real-world application, and we're actually going to utilize this in exercise. I'm pretty excited. My name is John Von Handorf. I've been doing this for a little while as far as giving training. Me personally, we're going to be going over the elephant in the room, which is icebreakers. Icebreakers kind of seems like it might be a little bit of a small subject, but sometimes it's a tool that's underutilized, and when it is utilized, it's done wrongly. So, over here on the board, we're going to go over a few things. First and foremost, introduction. I'm going to break down the agenda. What is an icebreaker? The purpose of an icebreaker, the types, when it is proper to actually use an icebreaker, the pros and the cons. Then we're going to be applying the concepts, and that's actually going to be performing the exercise. Followed up by follow-up questions I'm going to have for you all. And at the end, we're going to have questions. If you guys have any, you can direct them towards me, and we can conclude this training. So, again, my name is John. Personally, I wasn't a big fan of icebreakers. I've always been the type of person that has been a little bit of shy going into a new environment, a little bit more reserved. But an icebreaker is a good way of finding commonality with people and meeting new people and just addressing, again, the elephant that's in the room. So, we're going to do our own little icebreaker right now, and I'm going to ask you all to kind of give an introduction about yourselves. Your name, just one thing about yourself that some people might not know. So, ma'am?
Hi, I'm Brooklyn, and I am a 9th grader.
A 9th grader. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought you might be a little bit older than that. All right. You?
Hi, my name is Stephanie, and what people don't typically know about me is I used to be a dance instructor way back when.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Did not know that. Good deal. I'm not a dancer. I got 2 left feet and I have no rhythm. I like to think that I can when I'm feeling a certain happiness, but I just can't dance.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it's super, super bummer. So what is an icebreaker? An icebreaker is a facilitation exercise that is intended to help members of a group begin the process of forming themselves into a team, or icebreakers can be commonly presented as a game or to a warm-up to the group by helping the members get to know each other, and they often focus on sharing personal information such as names, hobbies, and etc. So we already kind of did that with our icebreaker introduction right there with you all. But we're going to go over what are the advantages and disadvantages of using an icebreaker. So an icebreaker, when it's not done properly, can be very catastrophic, and it can be a complete waste of time. So if you go into a corporate setting and you just completely left field throw out a bad icebreaker and no one's paying attention, it can be very, very damaging and a complete waste of time, especially if you have a high-level executive. Because if you think about it, time is money. If you're wasting people's time, and they're not getting any type of training, or it leads to a bad environment, then that's just a waste of time, and that's also just a waste of energy and effort and money too. An icebreaker should be related to the subject or the purpose of the meeting. For example, if a collaborative learning environment is needed for a training project, then an icebreaker exercise that promotes collaboration could be chosen. If the subject of the meeting is literature, then the subject of the meeting could be introduced through an exercise that revolves around a participant's favorite books. So again, those are just kind of some ideas of like the purpose of what an icebreaker is and some good common ground of like how to actually utilize one. So what are the pros of actually using an icebreaker? Find a commonality with individuals. You got people that are coming from all different backgrounds or different learning environments, or if you're in a corporate environment, they might be coming from a different part of a team setting or a different department. You might have some people that are coming from supply, working with sales, and they might need to work collectively together in a team environment to figure something out. So an icebreaker is a good way of saying, hey, this is who I am, this is what I can do, and this is how I can, help figure out this problem that we have going on, or get us through this training exercise. They should be very engaging. They should be non-threatening. The last thing you want to do is foster an environment where people are coming in and you're putting them on the spot to asking them questions that makes them feel uncomfortable. If you're in a professional environment, the last thing you want to do is ask extremely unprofessional questions, because what's that going to do? That's going to make people feel uncomfortable, and they're going to withdraw from the conversation. They're going to feel less inclined to engage in the conversation of the activity you have going on. This is especially true if you have a very, very ill-prepared icebreaker. If you just kind of throw something together and people think to themselves, oh, one of these things again, it's almost like mandatory fun. An exercise that's like that, what happens instantaneously is people become very reserved and they're like, you know what, this is going to be a complete waste of my time. Why am I even here? And then what does that also do? That reflects on the training or the meeting itself too. And what does that also do? Waste of time, waste of money. They want to get out of there as fast as possible, so they're going to be less engaging and less inclined to actually produce any constructive criticism or feedback to what is going on in that meeting or training exercise. So the purpose essentially is at the end of a well-executed icebreaker exercise, the facilitator should be able to summarize for the group that was learned during the exercise. So if it's team building exercise, the purpose is essentially to build camaraderie in a team environment, so that team collectively as a whole, they can later on down the line work with each other. Reactions, as I said earlier, if you have someone that has had a bad experience with an icebreaker, it can be very damaging to the whole learning environment as itself goes. They're going to see it as irrelevant, pointless, poorly designed. They're going to be very, very apprehensive again of actually producing any constructive criticism and any feedback later on. So it's your job as a facilitator, especially as the training director, or leading an environment that's heading the meeting or even just the training, is making sure that you're well prepared. You know your audience as well too. That's a very key aspect, because an icebreaker can be used in many different settings. You can use it in the corporate world, in a meeting, training. You can also use it in a personal environment too. If you go to So we kind of already went over a little about the party icebreakers. Party icebreakers can introduce guests to one another. Use these icebreakers that are simple and entertaining to coax people to converse and laugh. This sets the right mood for the rest of the party. So if you go to an environment or a family barbecue or even a friend's barbecue and you don't know anyone whatsoever, the first thing you kind of want to do is you're going to want to go up and you're going to want to introduce yourself to people. So what is that doing? You're breaking the ice with individuals to find commonality and common ground. That way everyone can have fun. You want to set a nice positive environment. The last thing you want to do is you want to be that person over there in the corner that's not really talking to anyone, because what is that doing? You're not having a good time. So what some people do is they go up and go have a conversation with people, introduce themselves, to foster a very positive, fun environment. Another way that you can do, or method is, or type, is an icebreaker question. As the name implies, icebreaker questions simply elicit information from people in an effort to get them to be comfortable and relaxed. Icebreaker questions can be serious or funny. The best icebreaker questions are designed and specifically for an identified age and purpose, and prepared for people for activities or experiences that follow. So, a good example of that is you're not going to ask certain questions if you go into a business setting as opposed to what you would if you go to a non-professional setting as opposed to like a barbecue. Really good example of that is if you have a new junior personnel that's just starting a professional career at a company, they're not going to go up and ask some questions that they would to a chief executive officer as opposed to what the junior personnel would to just their new manager or supervisor. They don't have the right or entitlement to ask some of those questions. Just as though a chief executive officer, they're not going to step outside of their line and ask certain questions to junior personnel as well too. There's a hierarchy. You haven't earned that right or entitlement to ask some of those questions. Just like if you were to go up to a person at a family barbecue or a friend's barbecue, there's certain topics and conversations that you're going to kind of steer away from. You're not going to get too personal. It's just, the bare surface. Oh, this is what I like to do for fun. These are some of the hobbies that I have to find commonality and common ground. If you were to go to a corporate business setting, you can kind of get away with some of those subjects and questions. The last thing you kind of want to do, though, is ask people, what do they really like to do for fun on the weekends? Asking them very inappropriate and unprofessional questions of, oh, what did you do for your Friday night or something like that? Because that could kind of get a little too personal, and some people are a little apprehensive about actually asking questions like that.
Okay.
So this kind of leads into our little training exercise that we're going to do. So what I like to do is we're going to kind of get an idea of what you guys are all about as far as like seasonal wise goes. So the question is, Brooklyn, would you rather it be summer year round, or would you rather it be winter year round?
Personally, I think I'd like it to be summer year round.
Okay, why is that?
Because the days are longer and it's a more positive environment, and there's a lot more you can do during the summer versus the winter.
Okay, good. Stephanie?
I'd have to agree with her. I'd prefer it be summer all year round because people are typically more energetic in the summer and the days are longer, and it's just a good vibe. Warmer days.
Awesome. I'm the same way. I love summer. So my question about that is, what did we learn from that exercise?
We learned more about everybody and what they like to do for fun and some personal interests they have.
Exactly. We learned some personal interests that people have to find some commonality. All right, all. We've discussed everything. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to go over some questions to make sure you understand the material that we've covered today. So, Brooklyn, what exactly is the ice that needs to be broken?
The ice that needs to be broken is the elephant in the room or the tension.
Perfect. The elephant in the room, meaning getting people talking, getting conversations going. That way they can find common ground with each other. Stephanie, what are the benefits of using an icebreaker?
Sure, it's creating commonality between people so that they can carry a conversation and lead into more opportunities with each other.
Perfect. Great answer. Last question, Brooklyn. I'm going to have you drive in here. Is when is it appropriate to use an icebreaker?
It's most appropriate to use an icebreaker in a business or social setting.
Perfect. So, great answers. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to really make yourself familiar with the material that we covered today. So, last thing we're going to do is we're going to go over the questions that you all might have for me. So, I take this very seriously. If I can build upon any of those training exercises that we've done today, if you guys have any questions or concerns and understand some of the material, this is your time to bring it forward, and I can help elaborate if need be. So, Brooklyn, do you have any questions?
No, I think you explained it very well.
Awesome. Stephanie?
Nope, I agree with Brooklyn. I think you did a great job.
Great. Thank you all so much for sitting down for this training today. I greatly appreciate it. You have no idea. And I wish you all the best, and thank you again for sitting down today.
Thank you
Awesome,
for having
thank
us.
you.
You're welcome. You'll have a nice day.
You too.